Here today. Hey.
Copyright music.
Well, copyright stroking.
Little beat and I felt a little better and I made a couple raps and I put it all together. I recorded it and thought I could do this shit forever.
John bought some nude shoes.
Yeah. Feel free to wet the beak.
Yeah. We're at Michael's house. We're gonna be watching some football. We're on to week 4. I'll say that later. I'll edit that out. Oh, this is my first time vlogging on this camera. Now we're gonna teach John how to skate.
Here.
What is up, guys?
What did I just come out here to do?
What? These ones, probably not so much. I think they're pretty fucking normie norm. John, how are they feeling?
They're really comfy, honestly.
Bought them at the outlets.
No, fuck that, dude. I'm going straight to a kickflip.
Hey, so it's the next day. I'm gonna make a beat using just Apple loops and like stock Logic plugins. I actually already recorded this video, but I didn't have the screen recorder recording because I forgot to hit record, which seems to be a pattern, which is not a good pattern to have. But so now I'm gonna make a completely new beat with Apple loops and stock Logic plugins. I'm gonna ask my girl Siri here to give me a tempo. Give me a number between 90 and 160. I can't see it. What does it say? What does it say? Hold on. 129. She said 129. I'm gonna go C sharp major. And I'm gonna remember to turn the screen recorder on this time. Alright, so I'm in Apple loops, and if you have Logic and you've looked at the Apple loops before, you know there's just like thousands and thousands of sounds, like audio, MIDI, all types of stuff. That could be interesting. This could be cool. So I took 2 different jazz piano samples. Basically it just loops. I used the second one to just make it this sort of different feeling, like just kind of surprising little thing, and then it goes back to the other one and just kind of a cool little loop there. Might do a couple reverse things here. So here I'm gonna just cut that, reverse it, see what it sounds like. I just do a fade in, fade out. If you ever notice that you do like a hard cut on an audio file in Logic and it does like a little click in between, all you have to do to fix that is fade in and fade out, and it just has to be literally any number besides 0. Another thing worth noting What I'm doing right now, like chopping up the audio, I'm doing that to just make the sample more interesting. But there's this plugin called Looperator. It's by Sugar Bytes. The only reason I'm not using it on this is because I said that I would use only Logic stock plugins and Apple Loops, and this is a plugin that costs money, but basically it does a lot of the things that I'm doing right now to make it more interesting, like repeats and reverses and slices and all types of different effects that you can just throw in that plugin and it'll do it itself. Alright, so I'm kind of liking how that loops, I'm liking how that loop sounds right now. It's very like cool sample chop type of thing. I'm gonna try to find some drums that would work with this. So all I'm doing here is just cutting the audio of that drum loop that I brought in, because I'm gonna make my own drum pattern, but I'm just taking the snare drum that was in that actual loop. So I'm stealing a kick drum from this loop. Now we got a little drum beat going there. So I'm taking this hi-hat loop, and instead of stealing the whole loop, which it probably would sound cool, but I'm just gonna take one hi-hat sound from it, and I'm gonna start programming some hi-hats like that. Alright, so now I got that loop is working as a kick. This loop I chopped up to make into another hi-hat pattern, and this thing I chopped up to make into a perk. So now this is how the drum beat's sounding. So I just added this extra layer of the piano sample. It's just an octave lower. So if you go over here to the left and you go to transpose and you go -12, it's 12 semitones, because that's how many individual keys per octave. And I also added one higher, so I'll just kind of use them all at different points throughout the song to keep things a little interesting. There's not going to be a whole lot of change ups, like there's a lot of different routes that you could go, but for this one I just have this 4-bar loop. The loop itself is interesting enough to keep the listener listening, you know. I'm gonna add 808s and then I'll pretty much be done. So I took this sub bass from the Altered State sub bass in the Apple Loops, and I'm just using the tuner in Logic to find out that note that it's playing. I just took the first note of that sample. It's looking like C sharp, which is the key of the sample as well, so I am probably just gonna layer that 808 on top of the kicks. And that's it. I guess the point of me making this though is like to tell you, to show you Apple Loops comes in Logic and GarageBand. You can literally make beats, so don't let what you have hold you back. If you have Logic but don't have the money to invest in a bunch of crazy plugins, trust me, you can make good stuff. You don't need to go buy every single great drum kit. You don't need to buy all these crazy plugins, all these VSTs, and I mean eventually down the road it's nice to have, you know, it makes things a lot easier, improves your workflow, but you can do this stuff now, so just start doing stuff. Don't let anything hold you back. This is my beat that I made with Apple Loops in Logic, with only Logic stock plugins, and I'm gonna rap a little something to it. Thanks for watching.
Matt told me I gotta rap to this. I've been having a hard time writing raps lately. The only way to fight writer's block is to write a lot. So I keep writing cause I'm really trying to fight it off. Back and forth to the city, I swear it's finna kill me. I've been busy, my head is spinning, I'm getting dizzy. But no Gillespie, I'm DJ Khaled riding the jet ski. I think they know that I'm an ace, but they still try to test me. First thing gotta be first, bro, don't second guess me. I'm barging into the game, they didn't wanna let me. That's all I got for y'all.